Okay, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Coin News Extra interview session. Today, we'll be talking about implementation of blockchain in HR. So we have somebody, a specialist in this field, that will be talking about this. We have Rebecca Fernandez. Rebecca Fernandez is the CEO of Golden Human Capital Limited. Rebecca, you're welcome to Coin News Extra.
Thank you so much for having me here today, Lee. Thank you so much, everyone who's listening as well.
Okay, Rebecca is a digital expert in when it comes to HR. So we'll be talking about the implementation of blockchain in the HR. But before we go to that topic, can you just give us a brief about yourself?
Sure, thank you. Yes, I've been working in HR, in the HR industry for more than 10 years. And I've been working in different type of markets. Well, basically, I started my career in Spain. I'm Spanish, but then I quickly moved to the UK. I'm living in London for the last 8 years. And I've been working in different type of industries and from banking, fintech, and consultancy, and in different type of roles. I've been moving from more operational roles, so I've been working in human resources, but I have also done work in training and development. But very early stage of my career, I moved to the HR analytics and HR technology space. Apologies, I'm going to, yeah. And in the last 5 years of my career, I've been managing HR transformation programs that for the people who seen us, just to explain, is to implement HR technology in companies. Okay, so I've been managing those projects around the world for different consultancy and different clients. I've been managing SAP implementation, Cornerstone implementation, and for all the modules, so from performance, recruitment, and both streams. I've been managing functional implementation, but also the technical implementation.
Okay, Rebecca.
Yes,
Okay.
and from the last 2 years, I found my company, Golden Human Capital, in which we provide services of HR, but based in innovation and analytics. So we help organizations to implement technology or HR technology, and we help them through all the process. So that means from a strategy, from implementation, and through the change management strategy as well. And we also help them with analytics and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
So
Thank you, Rebecca. You have a very good portfolio. So moving straight to the topic of the day, as you are a HR specialist, you know what is involved in the HR sector. So can you please tell us what HR is and some of the challenges facing this industry?
In the HR world,
Yes,
man?
yes,
From technology or in general?
In general.
Well, HR is human resources, and it means that is the, let's say, the practice or the industry in which entails to manage anything related to employees. Right, so when a company have employees, it could be from recruitment, it could be from performance, how the people perform within a company. It could be training as well, and it could be also be compensation and benefits. So really, if we think about a journey, it is a journey of an employee within a company. That is the denomination of human resources. And now we are also hearing human capital, because a company so for a company to make money, we all know that it has to be clients, right? So you are a business and you need to have clients in order to have profitable business. But how do you make the clients? It will be through your team, right? So that is where human capital is coming along. Now, from the last decade, we are hearing that there is another like a stream of the human resources industry, and that's technology. So from the last 10 years, and I will say the last 10 years because HR industry is the last industry from an implementation and automatization point of view, if we compare with fintech, for example, or financial services.
Okay, Rebecca, what are the challenges facing the HR sector?
So what are the challenges at the moment is, first of all, HR doesn't have centralized systems. So it is very complex for organizations to have a central proof of data. And that means that if a company wants to make better decisions, there is no information, or if it is information, it is not accurate. Then another challenge that the HR industry has is metrics. So how do you measure? So for example, if we are talking about finance, it's clear that finance has a set of metrics, for example, productivity, efficiency, return of investment. When it comes to HR, they are there, but the people doesn't know how to apply them. And one is from the unknown in the HR industry for HR professional. And another aspect is because there is no one centralized system that stores everything from an employee perspective. And another challenge that we have in the HR industry is, I don't know if you have heard about the pay and the gap. There is a huge problem in the world related to pay gender gap and inequality. So we are in a world based of inequality, and has also an impact on how employees are paid. And there is a gap between men and women doing exactly the same role. They are paid, women across the world, they are paid less. So these are kind of the challenges that we are living right now. Of course, there is other challenges like culture base. There is companies full of unhappy employees. And I can continue if you want, but I will highlight that ones because they are really related with our topic today.
Okay. So you have been highlighted the challenges facing the HR sector. So we are now talking about blockchain. How do you think blockchain and HR, how do you think blockchain will play a role in the HR sector?
Thank you. So from my perspective, I'm starting doing projects in blockchain because, first of all, one of the challenges I have highlighted to you is that the HR industry doesn't have a centralized system. Right, so It means that if a company have a system that, for example, for recruitment processes, in most of the cases that that system is not linked to, for example, the compensation of the payroll system. So that is really a challenge for organizations because, again, when do you want to see the value, the financial value or the financial impact of a human capital of an employee for a business, it is really challenging right now that there is no a sort of truth. So one is the challenges. Then I mentioned to you about the pay and the gap. That's another challenge. So for me, blockchain is really the future. So I see blockchain as the future. It's like internet, right? When we start talking about internet, now everyone is using internet and no one is thinking about it. But this is the same. For me, blockchain is the future. First of all, because for me, a peer-to-peer system is always better for transaction and also for traceability, which is very much needed in the HR world. We need traceability of whatever transaction we do. And we don't have that right now in the HR industry. Then, when, for example, I can give you a very specific example. When you want to work for a company, what do? You normally apply to a role and you potentially, well, not potentially, you will send a CV, right?
Yes.
It's how normally work. Or you will send a CV to a recruitment company, for example. Right now, we only have the, let's say that the work life of a person in a CV. We don't have other sort of truth. Well, we might have LinkedIn, but that's it. So we don't have, if an employee goes from one company to another, we don't have that recorded anywhere. We just have a piece of paper, or we have an electronic piece of paper. That's it. With blockchain technology, we can easily track the life learning of an employee in the whole blockchain. And that's something that blockchain can solve. So you can have almost in real time where an employee has been, all the personal details. Another issue that we have in HR world.
Okay, having stated all these, how do you think HR managers or companies can use blockchain? This, as you have stated, the advantages of blockchain to the HR. How do you think these companies and HR managers can leverage the blockchain to enhance their activities?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, Lee. And I think it's in anything. For me, I see full of advantage with blockchain, because blockchain is also a system that could actually integrate quite easily with artificial intelligence. So blockchain, they could be told to each other, right? So
Yes.
if a HR manager, for example, needs an information of an employee, if we have blockchain, the HR manager doesn't have to wait 2 weeks until he has all the criminal records back of that person, or that has all the records or whatever. It could also have that real time just through the blockchain. Also, if, let's say I'm a HR manager and I have a need, I need to recruit someone, I can have easily all the skills and everything I need through the blockchain. Another issue is the pay gender gap. It is proved, and that's something, I don't know if you have seen this, Lee, but last week I've been having a live streaming, as we are having right now, with a very well-known, the co-founder of the Blockchain Knowledge Foundation, Arnold, which I'm also part of it, in which we were talking about how even artificial intelligence is not able to remove biases. You understand biases? When you understand unconscious biases? Unconscious biases is when let's say that I'm a person, you are a person, we are humans, and we have our experience, right?
Yes.
Based on our life, our background, and automatically, if we see a person, we might think something. So, for example, if we put that in a situation of a company, or for a HR situation, so I'm a recruiter, and this happened a lot, Lee. So I'm a recruiter, right? And I need to recruit someone. And it came to me, I'm a recruiter for a bank. And people, they might watch me, they say, what are you saying? But imagine that I'm recruiting for a finance role. Okay. Yes. And it came a lady to do the interview. Unconscious bias will be that because I could think, oh, because she's a woman, she's not going to be doing well the trading work. I could think that based on my experience and my knowledge, because I think, for example, in this example, normally speaking, men are better at trading. That's unconscious bias. What happened with artificial intelligence is, and there is a report from the CNCB, which says that even the Silicon Valley engineers they have proved that even artificial intelligence is biases, because the algorithms that are made from they are also biased. So that means that we are a human. I'm writing the algorithm, I create an algorithm, and it could be also put, for example, in this case, women in a less or in a disadvantaged position towards the men in certain situation, for example, or discrimination, right? Just because you have a certain belief or whatever. This is our unconscious bias, and that's something that blockchain can actually also help.
Okay. Okay.
Other advantage that I see with blockchain is it also helps to increase, uh, works around the world, and also works from, again, gender, for women, female population. It also helps for countries like Africa, India, other countries that they need to be also centralized, and they need to be, emerging from this. And that's how also blockchain it will solve, because it's easily managed. We don't have to go through a very, hard implementation of a SaaS application. Blockchain is very easy.
Okay, okay. Blockchain is very easy. You made mention that blockchain is the future. So, drawing the curtain here, what do you think is the future of HR with the implementation of blockchain? Just briefly.
Yes, because I talk a lot, isn't it? I'm very passionate about the topic, you can see. I think it's a learning lesson. So meaning that the people need to start understanding about the benefits of it. I do see that it's going to be a long journey to implement blockchain still, but I do see potential in areas like recruitment, payroll potentially, because I see that the benefit is instantly. And the future is, I think, blockchain, it will be replacing potentially VPNs, for example. It will be also replacing certain software that are currently not working, or it will be actually adding value to those. So I see that blockchain, it will be the future, and I hope that it will be the near future, because I see that the HR world really needs it.
Interesting. The blockchain is the future. So thank you very much, Rebecca Fernandez, for joining us on Coinbase Extra.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a lovely day.
Okay.